2025, a year where Zambia soared to new heights, breaking records and redefining its place on the global tourism map. We delve deep into the triumphs that made Zambia a premier travel destination and catch a glimpse of the Ministry of Tourism's bold vision shaping its future.
We had engaged private sector to come up with what we call the marketing plan. This marketing plan was speaking to, first of all, how we're going to market Zambia as a preferred destination. That was one. Number two, we had to set out a target of the number of international arrivals that we want to get into the country, which obviously was the 2 million. And then obviously number three was to also agree on the working relationship between private sector and that of government. So that particular stakeholder engagement came out with very, very interesting, ambitious targets, as you rightly have heard. First of all, we'll talk about the arrival numbers, which was obviously the 2 million. So we already sat down with private sector towards the end of the year. One of the discussions in terms of the targets that we set out as government with private sector is to agree on certain trade shows that we're going to use as a marketing tool. And indeed, we've got the traditional trade shows such as the Indaba, the World Travel Market, the ITB in Berlin, the Fitur in Spain, and many others that we have set out. That again is pure collaboration with private sector, which allowed the co-sharers in this case, I'm talking about the private sector, to participate at what I would like to call a discounted or a subsidized rate, so that we are able to now get the private sector to participate in these shows, and then they're able to sell their outfits. That again, we've seen record numbers, up to about 30, 35 co-sharers in some of the big shows that we've had. So we're very delighted that any plan that we've been making out there together with private sector have actually yielded results. The one unique thing that we have in our country, Zambia, obviously over and above its people, is that of our culture. Our culture, in this case, we're talking about our food. Our culture is our dress. Our culture is our tradition itself, which we can be able to package into something that non-tourists will be able to come and see here in our country. So in terms of balance, that is exactly what we're talking about. So we're looking at having to sell our traditional ceremonies, that is safeguarding our intangible heritage. We're talking about documenting our food, which obviously, as they call it, gastronomy, which is essentially a fancy word of food tourism. We're also talking about our ceremonies themselves, how we have, where we're coming from as a people. I've said it before, said it again, a country without a culture is a lost country. So we need to handhold, guard that culture jealously, so that we're able to now monetize it to the rest of the world.
We are a ministry that needs to facilitate the development of a sustainable tourism and economic transformation and job creation, for that matter. That's really our mission statement as a ministry. And obviously we have to have really created an efficient, responsive, value-centered type of tourism for the private sector to be able to find us relevant. Through Zambia Tourism Agency, which is our marketing agency, we had to put in a lot more resources to be able to ensure that traditionally, to all the exhibition areas where they go, whether it's Indaba in South Africa, ITB in Germany, WTM in London, and whether it's Meetings Africa in South Africa itself, from growing the meetings, incentives, conferences, and exhibitions, which we popularly call MICE. All these are areas of strategic importance that we had to look at. But also what we have been doing was to be able to work also with a media, a PR agency, then in 2025. So we had to engage them to ensure that the trade are aware about Zambia, working with the private sector. So we tasked Zambia Tourism Agency to engage basically PC agency, which is Poach House, an agency based in the UK, but to look at markets like Germany, the US, UK, and other European markets to be able to attract tourists to come to Zambia. How 2025 worked out was to work closely with private sector, do joint marketing with private sector, to go out there and do our best in terms of marketing at these tourist exhibitions. But also government deliberately had to make sure that there are a lot of meetings and conferences which were held here in Zambia to draw the tourists here. Government to government, that also worked. Bilateral meetings, and multilateral meetings which were happening here. So we had to take advantage of all that. The biggest element that this government had to do was to review the visa regime. So when we removed the visas and we made it a bit easier for tourists to be able to come from over 160 countries visa-free to come into Zambia, that just opened up everything. But all these elements working together, cohesively, jointly, that's what brought the results for 2025. If you look at where our game management areas are, there are lodges there where our people go to just experience safaris, wildlife in those areas. There are communities that live with wildlife there. So we had to also launch our community-based natural resource management policy, to ensure that communities are at the center of what we are doing, or they are critical partners. We had to start as well strategically to form the access committee. What does that access committee do? It is to be able to open up, areas where many flights can actually be able to come to Zambia. And also I think the growth of ProFlight has really helped to open up. And this is something that we cannot just proudly say the Ministry of Tourism alone has done it. It is an industry, effort. All the players pushing one vision, one goal, with the president also being really at the apex of it, to drive and to push us in terms of the way to go, the direction we need to take. We want to be able to make sure that this industry can be a $1 billion revenue contribution to the GDP for this country, and going beyond single digit to at least growth of over 10%, and with a lot of effort even reach 20% contribution to GDP. But also there's a lot of investment that has been going on in this sector as well. What did we do? Some of the incentives that we had to give to private sector, those that wanted to build hotels or expand, we had to ensure that some of the items that they import are duty-free, and that's what happened, just to push them, to give them a stimulus package to be able to move. And those that wanted also to invest into safari vehicles, so they can be able to buy brand new vehicles and, no duty paid. We also train our people, through the Zambia Institute of Tourism and Hospitality Studies, ZITS, and many other private universities and colleges, to ensure that the boys and girls that serve our tourists are able to do a good job. They give them a good experience.
Zambia Institute for Tourism and Hospitality Studies is the statutory body under the Ministry of Tourism. Our mandate is basically to be able to train and prepare human capital for the sector and its subsectors. So last year was an amazing year for us. We recorded a number of successes. One of them was we did renovate the food science lab. That is a facility that helps our students in terms of their studies. So it supplements learning in the science subjects. And so students that are doing food production then can understand the bacterial content that is found in food, and this enhances in terms of food safety. Last year we also hosted our third Travel, Hospitality and Education Summit, we did record quite significant strides. One of those was the integration of travel and tourism in the national school curriculum. And so this year is the second year that that subject is being taken in schools, and we champion that as the anchor institution that is responsible for human capital development for Zambia. We did graduate over 300 students last year as well. That was a highlight for us at the Institute, because now 300 young boys and girls, or ladies and gentlemen, were now introduced in the market and will be able to provide the service that this industry desires and needs.
National Museums Board is one of the statutory bodies under the Ministry of Tourism. And its mandate is mainly to manage, establish, and also develop museums. May I start by giving highlights of the successes that National Museums Board was able to score in the year 2025. We had the museums policy approved by cabinet, and the only thing that remained in 2025 was its launch. And one of the issues which started some years before was able to be realized in the year 2025. This was the provision of equipment by the Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA in short. JICA was able to provide National Museums Board under Livingstone Museum as a way of modernizing that museum. We were able to get the research equipment in terms of also educational equipment, the conservation equipment, which is able to monitor the environmental conditions of our collections. And one of the things that we did was to get back into our historical archives, and we were able to mount an exhibition on the first cabinet. And in the year 2026, we want to repeal and replace the Museums Act of 1966. This in itself will give us another direction, which now will anchor on the policy that was approved in the year 2025. Also important is the continuation in terms of modernization of museums. We want to thank the government that it has provided some resources amounting as initial amount of 3 million to modernize the Lusaka National Museum. I think we will continue also with our researches so that we can continue to also be able to provide temporary exhibitions, which will increase also our visitor statistics.
There's no better time to be excited than this, when we have the President Hakainde Hichilema, who understands strategically what we need to do and where to touch to ensure that tourism can stop being just potential and can really actualize all the things that we want.
There's no isolation in looking at one's asset, such as Komboka. It must be seen in the context of Komboka, Victoria Falls, Kuala in Eastern, and in many other places. And this package, this destination, will attract people with different interests. And with those different interests, they come to Komboka, we welcome them. By seeing Komboka, they will hear about Victoria Falls. They will hear about the heritage of Maros for years. It's an institution, an age-old institution. And in the process, they will invite others to come. That's how it works. More tourists, welcome them, take care of them, share our history with them. More we are likely to basically gain in terms of value, income, and others. Lodges are free.
In 2025, Zambia achieved 2.2 million arrivals, the highest number of arrivals to date, and just 5% shy of the 2.4 million arrivals. This growth was driven by strategic initiatives such as the BBC and Expedia Global Marketing Initiative, among others.
For the sector, it was a fantastic year, also for an operator like us, Mwamfushi. First and foremost, it's the year that we saw an exponential increase in both domestic and international tourist numbers. And also it's the year we as Mwamfushi recorded a high increase in international tourists. And obviously you know that Mwamfushi Safari is predominantly a domestic tourism destination. So we've had more domestic tourists than internationals. We had more international tourists compared to the previous years. So it was a successful year. We saw government through Zambia Tourism Agency participating at very important international tourism expos. We saw government through ZTA having exhibition stands at the extremely important international expo, a platform through which Zambia was marketed to the international world, rather to the global village. We saw, for example, Zambia attending WTM in London. We saw Zambia attending Fitura in Spain. We saw Zambia attending Africa Travel Indaba in South Africa and the ITB and many expos. So just that helped to put Zambia on the world map, and now we can say the sector also benefited. Now, as an operator like Mwamfushi, how did we benefit from that initiative? We also were given an opportunity to go and attend such expos. We were given an opportunity to attend 3 important expos. One, we attended the ITB German, which takes place in Berlin. A very good international tourism platform where we showcase our products and services. We were also given an opportunity to attend the Africa Travel Indaba, which takes place in Durban in South Africa. Also the prestigious WTM, World Travel Market in London. So these are some of the initiatives that government took in order to help us market the destinations. We have so many incentives, I can tell you. But the major incentive that stands out for me is that incentive called an import duty waiver on imported safari vehicles and equipment, where you are able now to, as a tour operator, as long as you meet the criteria, you're able to import a vehicle, a Land Cruiser, duty-free. That's an incentive which is there. And I'm calling my fellow operators to take interest in that. This is something that you cannot afford to miss.
Partnerships with international PR agencies, influencer campaigns, and familiarization trips have also boosted Zambia's global visibility. Preserving Zambia's rich cultural heritage remained a top priority in 2025. Over 60 traditional ceremonies were celebrated, with the Republican president attending some. Zambia's tourism sector shone brightly in 2025, winning the Gold Award for Best Destination Marketing Campaign at the Africa Marketing Conference and winning a number of bids to host over 15 MICE events in Zambia in 2026.
As ShareZone, we are your first local, indigenous, Zambian-run, Zambian-owned operator. So there are a lot of glass ceilings that you can imagine in the tourism sector, but the Ministry of Tourism, with the New Dawn administration's mandate to have more Zambian participation, they have really opened opportunities for us, engaged us, made opportunities, put connections. So on that footing, we are very grateful for the Ministry of Tourism, ZTA, and the government in general for opportunities like this. Upward trajectory. A lot of opportunity, interest in Zambia, obviously stemming from different sectors. The mining space has put Zambia on the map, and by extension, a lot of interest is coming through foreign direct investment, interest in tourism, the opening of markets, our efforts for marketing. Zambia has got immense wildlife and tourism potential. I know we've got our focuses on the mighty Victoria Falls, But my goodness, Zambia is an endless jewel that I believe has got so much prospectivity. And if we keep on the same trajectory with the ministry, with operators, with tourists in general, regional and international, we would be able to extend the great capacity for what Zambia is.
Sustainability was a cornerstone of 2025's success. From environmental protection initiatives to regional collaborations through the KAZA Summit, Zambia reaffirmed its commitment to biodiversity. As Zambia looks to 2026, the focus remains on innovation, sustainability, and collaboration. The Ministry of Tourism is dedicated to ensuring that Zambia remains a top destination for domestic and global travelers.
How are we looking going forward? We want to go beyond the 2.5 million to get to 3 million, tourist arrivals in Zambia, and be able to make every Zambian be an ambassador to be able to ensure that they enjoy their country. So domestic tourism, when you say take a holiday, iya muloko, we are asking Zambians to take holidays locally, because local is laka. We are urging a lot of Zambians to open up a lot of lodges, a lot of hotels, because there is a lot that is going on. Today, you have a lot of conferences going on in Livingstone, and people have nowhere to stay. In Livingstone, we are looking for an operator that will be able to create, a meetings, conference facility there for over 3,000 to 4,000 delegates. It can be done. So as a ministry, we are really, really excited to be a part of this journey, and I can assure you, we will do everything that is within our power to push the agenda of tourism to ensure that it meets the expectations of many Zambians. It opens up all these other places where there is potential.
We're going to make drastic reforms within the sector. Now, this is probably where pieces of legislation have to be amended. In some cases, they have to be repealed, so that we're able to now get the full value of what the sector can offer. So we'd like to ask our private sector to work with us. We need to work as a unit. We need to work without speculation and obviously suspicion, as they call it, but see to it that we're able to now work for the people of this country called Zambia.